I've been taking 2 weeks off social media. And the reason why you should listen to this vlog is if you have, a successful business, I mean, you're earning money, you're doing well, you've got reach, you've got some influence, but maybe you've hit a plateau. It's not, like I say, you're not broke, you're not stuck, there's nothing wrong, but you just know that there is another level that is waiting for you to step into, that is more aligned for you, that there is a different way for you to do things, your way to do things. You're a star seed. You feel that potential in you. There's this beautiful idea about a seed, that its entire hologram of the seed is within the seed. And all that happens when the light shines, when the seed leans into the light, is that this hologram comes to life. And that's what we can do as well, is lean to the light, our light, shine our light. But as I've experienced, we play small. We hide ourselves. We try and fit ourselves into other people's boxes. We get stuck behind our trauma. The reason why I did the blackout, why I personally took myself away from social media, was because I realized that there were these two opposing forces in my consciousness. And on the one side, there was this beautiful freedom that I find myself in regularly, where, I'm living the dream, honestly. And then there's this other side of my consciousness where I still see money as, I guess, a hustle. And I noticed how I would swing like a pendulum between these two forces of consciousness. I've taken my business to 3 days a week working. And in the 3 days a week working, I'm pushing. And then the 4 days a week that I'm off, I'm, fully off. So it's like this swing. I started working back with my old coach, and I noticed how he was sort of pushing me back into that push to make money, goals, next level income. And I said to him, when I realized it's not him, it's how I'm reacting to him. And I knew when I delved into it that it was to do with this polarity. And I needed to understand where it was coming from, because it is so out of integrity with who I've become, where I've been going. And I knew that the plateau that I had hit in my income was everything to do with it as well. And 2 weeks into this blackout, I know that the plateau in the income was nothing to do with income at all, and it was everything to do with what I'm sharing with you today, what I've learned, and what's going to change as well. And I guess where this 2-week blackout has led me to is realizing how I'm still stuck behind my trauma. And I'm talking about the trauma of my dog. Maybe not the trauma of it, but the emotion of it, the loss of it. And so I didn't realize that, having my business, having my phone, having social media, having whatever else to distract myself, I wasn't conscious of my unconscious blocks, and I am now. And that's why you should listen to this vlog, because if you are experiencing a plateau, there will be blocks. They're likely unconscious. So what happened within days of me pulling back from social media was that my social media influence 10x'd. I went over 4,000 followers on Instagram, which is something that I've been trying to do for months. I, started getting, manifesting things that I had been focusing on. And I was doing it without, being in my phone at all. And the crazy thing is that I know this is the way to make things happen. I know this is the way to make things happen, but that is the first thing that I learned, that the phone is a way to distract myself from the emotions that hurt. And, so within days of me pulling back from the phone and giving myself more space, and it wasn't just social media, it was emails, the constant notifications, text messages, WhatsApp. It was insane how I realized just how my entire business was an extension of my arm. It's the touch of my hand. And I was running my business in a way that was constantly, even though I had 3 days in my business, 4 days off, I was still on because I could see stuff, and I was allowing myself to go to this stuff, I know now, to distract myself from the pain that I was feeling in my heart, because within days of being off my phone, so much emotion came up, so much loss came up, so much grief came up. I realized, I've been holding on to a hell of a lot. I knew this a few weeks ago when I released a layer of trauma from childhood, knowing that, I'd been holding on to other people's burdens, holding on to the responsibility of other people's burdens, and that was blocking me from stepping into my next level of expression, stepping into my shaman responsibility and role, because I didn't want to carry people's responsibilities. I remembered the pain of that from childhood, holding the responsibility of my parents' burdens, and I shed that responsibility. I realized that I don't have to hold people's burdens. I have to hold space for them to release their own burdens. And this was a big shift, but I don't think I'd realized in just how many directions I was holding responsibility. Holding responsibility for others, and also for what I'd done as well. I thought I'd forgiven myself, Benson, but I don't think I had. I don't think I'd fully let him go. Because if I fully let him go, I had to admit that I'd killed him. I had to admit that it really happened. And I had to face the fact that he was really gone too. And so within days of my social media blackout, this massive emotion came up. This massive grief, this massive loss. And I've allowed myself to feel all of it. I've allowed myself to hurt. So, when you're constantly coming away from your heart, what are the emotions that you're distracting from? What are the pains that you're not wanting to feel? Because there will be them, There'll be lots of them. And the thing is about grief and sadness, they're low frequency emotions. And if we don't move them, then we'll sit in that low frequency. And that affects how we manifest. That affects what we create in our life. And so while it's been painful to admit, I guess, the loss and the grief, I feel better for feeling it and releasing it. I feel more at peace than I've felt in a really long time. And I guess that leads me on to the next thing I learned, in that how many areas of my life was I seeking instant gratification. The world the way that it is, and how everything, the tips of our hands, the tips of our fingers, we've forgotten how to wait, how to be patient. And I can see that now, how I was doing that as well. Instead of going into my heart and trusting that what I wanted was coming, what I wanted I can create, what I wanted to see could be, I was going and checking because I needed instant gratification. And that's something that now is going to change. I know because of my journey with manifestation, I know because of awakening my miracle frequency, that it comes from being sure, it comes from being certain, it comes from creating your own outcomes in your mind and then believing in them, right? So when I was checking my phone, when I was checking my email, when I was checking my messenger, when I was doing it all from a place of needing instant gratification, and leading me on to the next thing that I learned, a lack of trust. I've come to a place since Benson that I can trust that the universe holds me, supports me, that everything in my life is happening on purpose, in the right way, at the right time. And yet I couldn't trust that the best case scenario was happening in my business or the best case scenario was playing out in my team, that I realized that I wasn't trusting. And again, lack of trust is lack of certainty. Lack of certainty is low frequency. Can you see how my plateau was self-created? And as I'm going to share my biggest learning, the plateau wasn't about income at all. The plateau was about expression. The plateau was about being true to my gifts, being true to my purpose, seeing my purpose, believing in my worth to have that purpose. And this is why we can't have instant gratification. This is why, as business owners, we need to trust all of these things that are happening to grow us, are happening to support us, are happening to make us be able to carry the business that we want to have. I think what I've realized in this blackout, when I've stepped back from the noise, when I've stepped back from being involved in other people's drama, when I've stepped back from the small mind stuff and just observed it from a distant place, some of the things that people are complaining about are just ridiculous. And if you're going to complain at that level, if you're going to react to these things, then you're never going to grow the business that you want. Because the truth about business is that it's a wild fucking journey, and every challenge is not a challenge at all. It's an opportunity for growth. And we have to learn to shed the traumas that creates the emotions that cause us to react instead of respond, and really build resilience. So this is where, I've always said about social media being consumption over creativity. We're consuming all this stuff and filling our heads up instead of having space to create. I'm getting really cold now. Ooh. Ooh. And so for me, this leads to some big changes. It's gonna be, I'm basically gonna put my phone in a box, and I'm not getting it out. I'm going to set some rules of engagement, because we've had some big shifts in the last couple of weeks around systems and what I really need in terms of support, what's possible, you know, to detach, what I really need to be working on, what I really need to be dealing with, because this space away from my phone has created magic. It has created, you know, YouTube videos, music. I'm working on a documentary. God, I'm getting cold. Oh, so much creation. And creation is what makes money. Creation is what attracts your tribe. Creation is what gets your message out. So, if this has resonated, I want you to watch out on my profile. I'm not going to share now because I'm cold. And I'm coming to you with something absolutely freaking incredible. A massive opportunity in the next few weeks to really unlock your own gifts and magic and expression using the quantum tools that I have, that I believe can change your life, that can change your business. The quantum tools that I've used in the last couple of weeks to really have this radical growth. I'm going to make everything available to you, absolutely free, as part of a celebration of my next book launch, Leading with Light. So if you want to be first to know what this offer I'm going to make to you is, to spend 7 days with me in mystery school in a wholly up-leveled way. I'm giving you access to way more than I was originally going to, because I just had an idea come through in my breathwork that is wild. I need to put the pieces together on it, but I'm going to share it. If you want to be first to know, comment below, and I'll reach out to you first with the details, because I'm going to put limited places on this. Whew. This is going to be special. I'm going to go and warm up, and yeah. Thank you for watching this video, sharing this journey, and I hope what I've learned has been helpful.